So we said last time that I'd do a quick walk through the turbo kits just before we box this one up. So I've just laid this one out on the table for you. Just want to talk through some of the details about it, some of the things we can change, and then at the end I'll go through some of the other options, things we can add into the kit, and just talk about various little bits and pieces that we can change to suit your individual car. So first up is obviously the manifold itself. So as everyone knows, we're pretty well known for them being equal length. So between the three runners, these are about ½ inch difference. Main features, the center runner is larger, so it mimics that kind of NA tech, just to try and get the velocities matched through the manifold. All made in 304 stainless, all TIG welded in-house, back purged, ported, the whole lot. Nice and swish, and they do look pretty good in the engine bay too. That's then matched up to whichever size downpipe you pick. So this one here is a 2-inch downpipe, again for the GBC kit. O2 Boss, double slip fit connectors. So these are incredibly good at sealing, but they're insanely good at being fitted and removed super quick. Anyone that's had one of these that spoke to me about them, they are slightly tight when you first fit them on the car. Once they've gone through a heat cycle or two, they basically shrink fit together, and then once they've cooled down, you can literally pop it off in seconds. A couple of you would have seen us do a bit of engine work at Fastest Mini last year on our car, and we pretty much had the whole downpipe, whole exhaust off in about sort of 20-30 seconds. All held together with a couple of little springs. Simple sort of hooked pick just over the top of those, pull them on and off. They don't need to be super tight, but they're just there to hold it in place. That's then matched up to the lower section of the downpipe. So this is made to fit any aftermarket 2-inch exhaust. We can make these larger if you decide you want to run a 2¼ or a 2½-inch downpipe, but just give us a shout first, just so we can talk you through a couple of little bits that you might need to change on the car for that to work. Then we move on to the turbo itself. So this kit is going on a 1000cc car. So we've recommended the GBC 17. So this is the smallest of the frame size, but it's perfectly suited to a 1000cc road car, occasional track use. Spool up incredibly quickly, but do provide a heck of a lot of volume. So you'll still be able to make a lot of power. We then move on to an adjustable engine steady. So this is polybushed on one end, solid on the other. We need this just because of the way that the downpipe and the final sort of secondary pipe on the turbo is suited will not fit with a straight engine steady as standard. But this is included with the bushes. Little piece that most other companies don't use, so a small little turbo brace. Now, these turbos, although they're small in comparison to what most people use on modern cars, they're still heavy. They're about 6 kilos. When you hang 6 kilos off the end of a manifold that is, 2 feet in length really, it can sag, it can move. That causes cracks, causes fatigue, etc. And for the sake of a really small steady, that will solve all of those future problems. We always recommend using these just to take the strain off the turbo and the rest of the system, so you don't have any issues later on down the line. Obviously all the gaskets are included. So genuine Garrett downpipe gasket, T25 exhaust gasket. We'll send you all the studs, all the springs, all the nuts, everything you need to fit this into the car. We can provide manifold studs if you want to, but the standard items are perfectly fine. We've then got oil drain. So this is probably one of the most important parts of the kit. There's a few kits out there from other suppliers and that people have done themselves, and they struggle with smoking. That is primarily because the oil drain is not in the right place, it's not big enough. These kits do need a decent amount of oil flow through them. If the drain starts to hold up or back up, the turbo will just suffocate on its own oil, and then you've got all manner of issues. So we have a flex piece here with AN fittings. That goes into an AN Dizzy blank. So these are from Specialist Components, so a bit of a partner of ours. Really nice kits, and that just drops straight in, no problems whatsoever. Genuine oil drain gasket. Do not use RTV on these. You'll just cause yourself problems. Just the gasket, bolt it straight up, job done. Oil feed. So this one's really important because there is a couple of people that have talked to me about whether or not to use an oil restrictor. These are still journal bearing turbos. Do not use a restrictor piece, okay? Restrictors are only for roller bearing turbos that need a higher pressure, lower flow. Journal bearing turbos, lower pressure, more flow, okay? So, T-piece that fits into your standard oil pressure switch, and then your oil pressure switch can come into the side. We then have a 1/4 inch MPT banjo, sorry, 1/8 inch MPT banjo, through to another banjo on the top of the turbo, so this keeps it nice and shallow, nice and hidden, and then M10x1 banjo fitting of the correct length. So be careful with these because sometimes they turn up too long, not from us, and then you won't get the clamping force and you won't get the oil pressure. This one's got some Funk Motorsport silicone heat sleeve on it, so really nice. They do pass pretty close to the exhaust housing, so I would always recommend putting some heat protection on the oil feed line, even if you don't think it's needed. For the sake of a couple of quid, an oil feed line splitting is not what you want, okay? Been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. Genuine K&N filter, so these ones will fit underneath the bonnet, straight over the top, okay? They also fit beside the intercooler. It's a tight package, but best quality filter you can fit, okay? Sadly, you can't get anything any bigger, but these flow more than enough for any of our A-series engines, all right? Then we move on to the cold side stuff. So obviously this one being a side mount kit, we've got inlet on what would be the turbo side, outlet on the thermostat housing side. Cores on this are 200mm tall by 250mm wide. So anyone that remembers kind of the old school turbo days where people would put RS Cosworth intercoolers in or Audi TT, it's a very similar size core, but modern, UK made, really, really high quality. 63mm thick. It's got the internal turbulators, so they're incredibly efficient. We've got one being tested on a couple of cars at the minute, and the intake temps are staying around 30 degrees with anywhere between kind of 18 or 25 psi boost. So really efficient, working really well. No problem fitting that in there at all. It does fit with standard alternator, standard starter motor, basically everything at the front remains the same, but it will not fit with a distributor, okay? And sadly doesn't fit the MPIs with the oil filter at the front either. Those ones are mounted, as you can see on the bottom, with 2 pins. Now that goes into 2 brackets that sit, so transfer housing just above the starter motor, and then this one goes onto your oil filter housing. Then you've got some small rubber isolators that just drop into the top. What that means is when you come to fit this, with the silicone couplers off, you can take this out in seconds. Just drop straight into the front of the car, straight through the rubber isolators, job done. Super easy, no messing around with bolting them in, bolting them out. And then it also means whenever you come to service the car, if you need to do anything, you don't need to worry about taking this out because it's so quick, it's not a hassle at all. More on the cold side, so this setup is for an EFI conversion, so the gent is using a micro squirt on a left-hand drive car, so the charge pipe is slightly different. So we've got 50mm blow-off valve, so this is what we use on the injection kits. On the carb kits we use a 25mm Forge Motorsport valve. We can interchange them, so if you want one or the other, just let us know and we'll change it about. And then all of the silicone elbows are included, all of the clamps, as I knock them off the table. You also get vacuum fitting for the turbo, so this replaces the grub screw just at the bottom, and a length of vacuum line, so it's about 1 metre that we send you with, which is more than enough if you just want to run the internal wastegate, but if you want to plumb in anything else in the car, you've got a little bit extra there for you as well. Other bits, so we've got obviously free t-shirt. I'll contact you and ask you what size you want for those. Paint stencil, so some people ask us why we don't put these on. I'm not precious. If you want to paint this on the front of your cooler, awesome. If you don't, it's your car, okay? I'm not going to hold it against you. So that kind of covers what I'd consider the base kit. Then we can make a load of extra changes to it. So if there's anything extra you need, so for instance, this one has got a 3/4 inch MPT intake fitting on the bottom, so nicely hidden. It also comes with, this one's getting an oil cooler kit, which I'll show you later. If there's anything that you think you need bespoke on your car, just contact us, okay? There's nothing that we can't really do. We can also do external wastegates. So we tend to use a TurboSmart CompGate 40, which is the smallest V-band setup you can get. Looks really nice, still sits in the engine bay. We've done loads of those, so I've actually got a pile of internal wastegate actuators sat over there that we've converted, and you'll see them on a couple of the turbos in a second. When you order the kit, I'll contact you and we'll go through a big spec sheet, okay? So this is for our benefit as well as yours, just to make sure that you've got everything you want, we're all aligned, we know exactly what's going to happen, and then there's no surprises when the kit comes to you. And then there's a full packing sheet that goes in the kit with it. So once I box everything up, we tick everything off and we know you've got absolutely everything you need. That's the kit. I'll run you through a couple of options, and then if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below, okay? So first up is turbo choice. So the GBC 17 that we saw in the kit over on the other table. So this one's the smallest that we recommend. This is based around the 998s. Now you can run these on the 1300s if you want something that kind of acts a bit like a supercharger. This will spool super quick, but if you're chasing big power, this is not the one you want to go for. Okay, so this one's got a 36mm compressor and a 50 AR housing, so nice and small. Exhaust housing is similar to the GT15s, but with a smaller cold side, so it'll spool up much faster than the GT17s will, and provide slightly less kind of volume. Then we move up to the GBC 20. So this is exactly the same frame size. The only difference you'll notice between the two here is that this one is already converted to run an external wastegate. This one's got 39mm compressor housing, or compressor wheel, with a 55 AR exhaust housing. And then this is the ideal turbo for the 1300s. So there's a few kits that are running this at the minute. Spools super quick, so you're starting to make positive boost pressure from around 2000 RPM, and then this will be on full boost anywhere between sort of 3 and 3.2. Really nice turbos, really cool to drive, but that will still push you over 200 horsepower with ease, okay? So this is what we recommend for 1300s and above. We run one on a 998, but I wouldn't recommend that for any road cars. It's quite laggy, and it does mean you need to sort of wring the neck out of 1000. It works, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't put that on a road car. Track only 998s, or perfect for a road going 1300. Then we're at the GBC 22s. So this is the biggest of this frame size. Again, this one's converted to external wastegate, so it's just missing the actuator assembly here. This one's a 44mm compressor with a 0.64 AR, so it's the biggest of the frame, biggest of the family, as we said. This one will give you a huge amount of horsepower, okay? So anyone that's trying to hunt for 200 wheel, or potentially looking for sort of 240, 250, 260 at the flywheel, this is where you need to go, okay? The 20 will probably just about make 240 at the fly, but it'll be struggling, it'll be right at the top of its efficiency map, and it's just not worth it. The only downside with going up to the 22 is you will lose a little bit of bottom end. So this is starting to come on a test car. It makes positive boost around 2500, but it's not making full boost. So if we talk 1 bar and above, it's not making full boost until around 4K. After that, it absolutely rips off, and it's a bit of an animal. Not one that I'd recommend for a road car, but if you're looking to thrash it around on the road and you enjoy keeping it high in the RPM, this is the one. If you're looking to track your car regularly or you want to race it, this one, okay? As with any of the kits, if you don't know what to pick, just fire me a message. I'll talk to you all day long and I'll help spec the build. I'll even help spec the engine, even if we've got nothing to do with it, okay? I want to help you guys pick the right kit for your car and for what you want to use it for, all right? So, a couple of other options. So you can see here, so this is our HD clamps. So we've had these ones made up. So these are instead of silicon couplers. Really nice, super sleek design. So you can see you've got 2 O-rings, and 2 aluminium ferrules. So these get welded onto your charge pipes. I can't fit them one-handed, sadly, but the sleeve drops over the top, clamp opens up, then that, as I said, tricky with one hand, fits inside, close the clamp up, drop the pin through the top, and that's a nicely sealed joint. A little bit fancier, just looks a much more trick solution, and it does mean that you then don't have to try and take silicone couplers off left, right and centre and mess around with Jubilee clips that will probably only last 1 or 2 uses. So we do offer these on their own, so they're $29.99. They'll be on the website this weekend, or we offer them as an upgrade into the kits, which is $350. So the downside with these on the kits is it does make the turbo side really tight, so we have to use aluminium donuts, but we will modify your compressor housing to fit, so everything will come and it's sort of plug and play. Then we move on to ceramic coating options. So this is a big favourite of ours. These are all Cerakote Glacier range. So we've got black with a speck of dirt on it, gunmetal. It's my personal favourite. It's a really, really nice colour. I don't really think the camera shows it. We've also got a titanium, but Cerakote has changed the formula on this, so we're still testing to make sure we can still use it. And then we've also got a silver and a gold, which I don't have samples for just yet, but we will get some and they'll be up on the website in the next couple of weeks. So this is the Cerakote Glacier range, so they're good to 1,000 degrees. So not only does it look great, but it will also help to drop the engine bay temps, keep it scratch free, and it also looks incredible. Next, we've got some Turbo Smart goodies. So we mentioned on the first part of the video that we can kind of change and swap components around as you see fit. So if you want something a little bit extra, we always recommend the Turbo Smart stuff. So this is their race port dump valves. So again, it's a 50mm unit, really, really high quality, and that's just another extra we can put in. We don't have these on the website, so if you do want to run these, just drop me a message before you order, and then we'll sort something out bespoke for you. And then external wastegates. So as we mentioned on the turbos that are converted already, quickly show you what we do on those. So housing is blanked off where the valve normally comes through, and then the poppet is welded inside, so there's no chance of leaks on this one. We've got 5 or 6 of them out there in the world at the minute, absolutely no problems. Great sort of setup. Does add a lot to the cost, but if you want a heck of a lot more control, external is the way to go. So again, Compgate 40, so it's the smallest V-band that we can get hold of, but it makes for a nice little compact unit. If you want it placed in a different spot on the manifold, again, give us a shout and we'll try and sort something out. And then we've got some more heat protection. So Funk Motorsport, as everyone knows, does some insanely good stuff. I've left these ones in the packet, but these are the turbo blankets that we offer. So they're the Mark III T25 blankets. We offer them in either titanium colour or black, or carbon black. Really nice to use. We've got one on our own car, and everyone knows how much abuse that takes. They don't break down, okay? There's a lot of cheap stuff on the market that will break down, and as soon as you touch it again after it's gone through a few heat cycles, it just falls apart. These ones don't. You take these off and put them on as many times as you want. Perfectly suited for these turbos. They fit incredibly well, and they're just held on with a couple of little springs, so nice and easy to use. We've got a choice of line protection, so black silicone like you saw on the kit earlier, and then we've got the glossy gold, which is a really nice unit, nice and tagged. Either of those are available, just let us know which one you sort of fancy. Obviously black looks a bit more subtle, gold is a bit more in your face, but it just depends on the aesthetic of your engine bay. And then next up we've got an oil cooler kit. So this is a 13-row set trab setup. Really, really nice units. There's a lot of racers use these, they're absolutely perfect. And they're also off the shelf, so if you have any problems with them, it's not bespoke, we can just replace it really quick. You've got an official set trab mounting system, so we've got rubber isolators on the sides and through the bottom. And then we modify the brackets just so they fit on the front of the subframe. So we'll provide you a spacer on one side, and it just needs 2 holes drilled in the front cross member, about 6.5 mil, nice distance apart, we'll give you all that, and then that fits straight in. Does need a little bit of trimming to the front panel, but it's not an amount of trimming that you'll ever see behind the grille. So it's not a visible modification, but it does require some trimming. We then supply you with some banjo fittings, so just to keep things nice and small. So anyone that knows, if you put AN fittings on the top of these, the traditional 90s, they're huge, they come up really, really high, and you just won't have space for that. And then some AN lines with the correct fittings for the block, correct fittings for your oil filter housing, and then nice black rubber braided line. Real good quality stuff. Coming up in the next couple of months, we're also going to start to offer some full exhaust systems to go with these. So we're going to build a 2-inch and a 2.5-inch system, single box, twin box, center exit and side exit, just to give you guys a bit of an option. So there's a lot of cars at the minute that we're helping to build that are just pushing the limit of a 2-inch system, and they want something a bit nicer than what is available on the market at the minute. Those will be out, they'll be between 650 and 750, but we can tailor the tips, we can tailor anything you want. So if you've got a slight kind of funny look in mind, give us a shout before you order and we'll see what we can work out for you. Otherwise, if you've got any questions on the kit, or you want to look at ordering, or you just want to talk to us about the spec of the engine, drop us a message. But if you can like, subscribe and buy some of the t-shirts, it'll be awesome. Cheers guys, see you soon.